Hey guys, it's Wednesday. You know what that means? We're gonna cook something. So tonight we're gonna cook up some taco meatloaf. Although for as taco meatloaf as it is, the recipe really doesn't. In this particular recipe, it doesn't have taco seasoning. It has fajita seasoning. So we could almost call it a fajita loaf. Um, but it sounds good. All right, so this recipe, I've never done this one, and it's going to be fun, I think. It's not horribly challenging, so to speak. I mean, it's got a lot of moving parts, but almost all of it's in prep work. I think the actual art of getting it together, other than waiting for it to cook in the oven for 45-ish minutes, will go pretty quickly. So, that being said, let's get started on the grocery list because it kind of is a hefty grocery list, but kind of something that you might have all in your pantry. I mean, I know we didn't have to go to the store for a thing in order to do this, but then, I mean, I kind of knew it was coming to begin with. I'd like to pick recipes that I know I have the stuff for. Sometimes we'll go and get extra, but anyhow, I digress. So, got everything written down on the handy dandy notebook. I also bought some really cool neon cards for the uh, recipe box today. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so let me move you down so your focus is a little more on the food and not so much on my good looking face, if there was such a thing. All right, so the first thing it calls for, and I'm going to give you the standard recipe ingredients, is 1 pound of ground beef right there. Now, that is more than 1 pound. That's actually about 1.75 pounds from the butcher. We're using 90-10. Use whatever you got, or I'm sorry, 93-7, as I was just corrected. But use what you can get, or what you can afford. If you want to use 80-20, that's fine. All it's going to do is produce a little more grease, so you'll want to make sure that you're checking your meatloaf as it's cooking. Maybe pour a little of the grease off. Grease can be bad. We try to eat somewhat healthy for eating unhealthy. Next thing we're going to need is a couple tablespoons or teaspoons of oil. And I didn't measure it out because I'm literally just going to pour it out of the jar and into the pan. So I'm using olive oil tonight. You could also use grapeseed oil. It's just to saute up some vegetables. The next thing you're going to need is 1 onion. Does not specify. Since I've got a little more meat, I'm doing a little more. I use bigger vegetables. But I got 1 onion, and everything's going to be diced. It doesn't have to be minced. Doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be diced. And I'll show you why as we get into that part. After you get your onion diced up, next thing you're going to do is dice up 3 bell peppers. Like I said, this has got a fair amount of prep work to it, but I think it's going to be well worth it in the end. And right here are my peppers. I use different colors. In this case, I've got orange, yellow, and green in there, just to give it a little color. You could also use red. You could use all green. Use what you have available, but it's 3 peppers, medium to large peppers. The next thing you're going to need is breadcrumbs. Like I said, since I'm pretty much doubling this recipe, I'm going to use a little more. I'm going to play with it a little bit while we're doing this, but you're going to need for your 1 pound of hamburger 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. Right there we go. That's more than 1/3 of a cup, but like I said, it's because I'm playing with it. Kind of like I paid no attention to the man behind the curtain thing. So 1/3 cup of the breadcrumbs. It calls for grated cheese. I am going to say about 1/2 pound of grated cheese. I mean, you want a fair amount of grated cheese. It doesn't give a listing for it in the ingredients list, it just says grated cheese. But the reason for that is because it goes in 2 different areas, but this meatloaf is essentially going to be a Swiss roll, or like you're getting ready to make a cinnamon rolls. We're going to put the hamburger out flat in a rectangle. We're going to saute up some vegetables, put a layer of that on there. Then we're going to take a layer of cheese and jalapenos, and then we'll roll it up like a giant log, and we'll bake that. When it comes out after 40-45 minutes, we'll put some fresh salsa on it, some cheddar cheese or some cheese of your choice. In this case, we're using a Colby Jack. Cheese of your choice, and then it goes back in the oven for a short time to melt the cheese. So that's the listing of it. You'll understand better as we go. So cheese, 2 to 4 jalapenos, depending on size and weight, but we're going to dice those up too. And then we're going to need salt and pepper for the veggies, along with the oil and some fajita seasoning. Now it's half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, which I've already got, and there's my salt and pepper in a container. I don't know if you can see the salt, but it's in there, salt and pepper both. Mixed together, half a teaspoon, along with a 1 tablespoon of fajita seasoning. For the vegetables also. We'll talk about the fajita seasoning in a second. We're going to need 1 egg. I'm doubling it because I'm essentially doubling the meat, but 1 egg. 2 teaspoons of tomato paste, right here. 2 cloves of garlic minced, which are right here. And then another teaspoon of salt and pepper. I'm sorry, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper. The other one was a half teaspoon of each for the vegetables. The teaspoon of each is for the meat. A 1/4 cup of the fajita seasoning. That is also for the meat. All right, so that is everything we need in it. Like I said, I mean, it's got some moving parts to it, but a lot of your time is just going to be in prep work. After that, it seems to be downhill. All right, so let me get over to the stove, and we'll start doing our veggies. And then after that, while the veggies are sauteing, we can hook up our meat and get it ready. All right, so hold on 1 second. Let me move my camera around, and we'll do some veggies up. Okay, so we took a minute. I was going to go over to the stove and show you guys how to saute veggies, but Abby's going to show you how to make a hot dog on bread with ketchup. Okay, so show them. Yep, take your hot dog and put it on the bread. Yeah, it's a little hot. With ketchup, that's right. So, do you want me to help you?
I got it.
Okay. All right. Good job. Okay, that's plenty. Yay. That's right. That's how you make a hot dog with ketchup. All right. All right, when we come back, we will saute some veggies. All right, see you in a second. All right, I really hope you enjoyed the hot dog and how to make one with ketchup. So Abby's been wanting to do that now for about 3 or 4 days, and I thought, why not? She was hungry early, didn't want to wait on supper, I guess. So she's having a hot dog and a small bag of chips. All right, so anyhow, let me point you down at what we're doing, and we'll take it from there. If I can get that thing to turn down. All right, so we got our oil is in the pan. It is glistening and shiny. So the next thing we want to do, there I go with the word "so" again, is we're going to put the vegetables in. All right, we got our oil in the pan. It's heated up. It's glistening. It's not quite smoking yet, but it's close. So we're going to start. We're going to put our onions in. All right, and we're just going to do a dump, and then we're going to, what we're wanting to do is just soften these up, give them a light saute. And then once we get these all mixed up, we'll move back over to the counter, and I'll show you what to do with the hamburger. While these are sauteing, we'll get the hamburger prepped up. But we got the onions, the pepper, the garlic. We're going to put the fajita seasoning on them. A little bit of fajita seasoning, salt and pepper. Now, when it comes to the fajita seasoning, I know here, I couldn't actually find any in any of the stores. I had to make my own. So you can make your own. You can buy pre-done up packages of fajita seasoning, or if you can't find fajita seasoning or don't like it, you can always just use taco seasoning. I mean, it is a taco meatloaf, so it won't hurt anything. All right, so while we got these sauteing up, like I said, we just want to get them a little soft, maybe about 5-6 minutes. Sauteing, stir them occasionally. You want to get it mixed up good in the beginning, though, so we're dispersing our spices, our salt and pepper, getting everything kind of gently coated. And then we're just going to saute that for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, let me move the camera again. I know it's a lot of camera moves. So that way we can work on the meat and see what we got to do with that. All right? Be back in 1 millisecond. All right, so while the while the veggies are sauteing over there, now you notice I did not add the jalapenos. They go in a different spot. So first thing we need to do is grab our hamburger, because we're putting the stuff in for the hamburger, and we're going to put the egg in, or in my case eggs, but you'll put your egg in. You're going to put your salt and pepper in. We're going to put the breadcrumbs in. So I'm going to put the tomato sauce in. Tomato sauce. And the fajita seasoning. Alright, so we got that going good. Right there. Alright, that's it, all the ingredients. They go into the meat. And then there's a couple different ways you can mix this up. If you have a stand mixer, put it in there. Mix it up. We do that a lot when we make meatloaf. You can sit here with a spoon and mix it up if that's what you like to do. I, on the other hand, am just doing it by hand. I mean, it's not like it's that big a deal. Yes, my hands are clean before you even ask. But although, you should that should just naturally be. I know I say that all the time, but your hands that should be second nature to wash your hands before you stick them in raw product. Just like it should be second nature to wash your hands after sticking them in raw product. All right, so we got that good and mixed up, looking fantastic. And I am going to get as much of the meat off as I can. There's that. I'm going to rinse my hands off real quick. Now, you may be somebody who doesn't like to put your hands in your food, and that's okay. No one said you had to. All right, got that off my hands, looking good. Dry them off real quick. So I said, now, here's where it gets kind of cool. Give me 1 second, I gotta stir the veggies real quick. Is what we're gonna do with the meat next. So what I'm gonna do is I've got my cutting board sitting right here, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got a thing of saran wrap on it. And what I'm gonna do, and that's just because I'm gonna dump my hamburger onto the cutting board. I'm going to use my cutting board as a template. Now, if you don't have a cutting board, get one, because you need it to cut veggies with and all that stuff. But what I want to do is I'm going to use this as a form, and I'm going to press this out to make a rectangle. And in this case, it's going to be about 11 by 13. If you're only using a pound of hamburger, you probably won't be able to get it this big, and you probably want to run with a, 7 by 12-ish. Piece of into a 7 by 12 rectangle. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there for a second. But whatever you put it on, you want to put saran wrap underneath of it, so that way you don't it doesn't stick to whatever you're spreading this out to get your kind of conform. Or you may not even need anything to make a mold with, and that's okay. I just need a general idea of what a rectangle looks like, I guess. So we got that there. All right, let me get that all together. It's pretty cool, huh? All right, got our semi-rectangle form. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not entering a competition. We're just cooking dinner, right? I mean, presentation should be good for your family, of course, but doesn't necessarily mean it has to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And if it is perfect, you're probably paying like $90 a plate for it. All right, so we got that squared up. 1 second there to get my hands washed off real quick. And I'll bring it up to you so you can see it. So we're currently looking for houses also. And when we get a house, our main emphasis for the house is a couple different things. It's what does the kitchen look like, and is it remodelable? I mean, is there enough space to do a good remodel? And is there some place we can stick a greenhouse off the back and a fish room? But right there we are. That's our rectangle meatloaf after we get all the spices put on it. All right, I'm gonna finish sauteing up these vegetables, and then when I come back, we'll do the next step in the meatloaf process. Hold on 1 second. All right, so we got the vegetables sauteed. Make sure it's not so hot I can't grab it. Right there we are, looking good. Softened, lightly sauteed, lots of flavor in there. Didn't actually try any of them. That's really good, just in and of itself. I may have to use that on more dishes. All right. So the next thing we need to do is take this and put it all over the meatloaf. We want to layer the vegetables and the meatloaf. That smells good, doesn't it? So I got this recipe from a little splurt from Tasty. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they are a website. They've got stuff on Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure they're on TikTok too. But this was literally like a 3-minute recipe I got off of. Well, they had it condensed down to 3 minutes or 4 minutes on YouTube as a video of theirs on their channel. And I thought, you know what? That sounds good. I was looking up recipes for taco meatloaf. I thought, wouldn't that be interesting and taste different? And I still think it will. So if you get a chance, check out Tasty. They've got all kinds of recipes also. Not that I don't want you using mine, but you can never have too much stuff in your arsenal when it comes to knowing how to cook. Variety is the spice of life. All right, so we got our green pepper onion mix on there. Next thing, actually, let's throw a little of the fresh jalapeno on there. Let's do a small layer of that. And then we're going to do cheese. This is why I said, guesstimate half a pound of cheese. Because this isn't the only time you're going to use your cheese. And you may want more cheese. And if you don't use it all, put it in a baggie. And then that way you've got shredded cheese for the next time you want shredded cheese. Maybe nachos. This would go good with nachos, as a matter of fact, if you were looking for something to do with it. All right, and then we're going to put a few more jalapenos on there, because jalapenos are your friend. I know you're saying to yourself, yeah, Brian, those are really hot. They're not really. They are hot, but once you eat them for a while, you get used to them. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is fold this up. Like I said, just like a Swiss roll. And as you fold, tuck it in on the first round. Yeah, this thing's going to be huge. Oh my gosh, look at this. Yeah, but I needed a full 2 pounds, of hamburger. I mean, we want leftovers also. So, if you need leftovers, it's the way to go. All right, so we folded it over. Got it nice and folded. Next thing we're going to want to do is take the saran wrap off of it. Oh, sorry. Just kind of tuck the ends. Now you're saying to yourself, Brian, what are you going to cook this thing on? All right, well, you have a couple options as to what to cook it on. All right, we're in good shape. Let me wash my hands again real quick, and then we'll talk about cooking options, because I also have to get the pan. that. All right, I didn't forget about you. I promise. I just had to wash my hands real quick. I gotta figure. Okay, so what we want to do is make sure our oven's set at 350, which I just did, but I actually had that on about a half hour ago in order to. I was baking some stuff, so it shouldn't take long for that to warm up. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this bad boy. Oh, that's like a 4-pound meatloaf total. I'm gonna roll it upside down, pick it up. I'll show you what I'm putting it on here in a second. Now, you can put this on a baking sheet. You can put it in a cast iron skillet if you have one big enough. It's completely up to you and how you want to do it. I do, well, I mean we, actually use our broiler pan to do meatloafs on. Just like when we do hot dogs in the oven. If we do hot dogs in the oven, we use the broiler pan. Reason being is it's got those little slots, and it'll let that grease drain off, and it won't be so greasy. But that's what we look like going into the oven. It's just essentially one giant Swiss roll. You want to not necessarily completely pinch the edges off, but make sure you don't have a whole bunch sticking out, because what could happen, and it might, I mean, like I said, I've never made this one before, but I'm going by that little bit of experience. You know, you could end up losing, you know, not all your cheese and stuff out of the ends, but, you know, a fair amount if you just leave them open. So we got that done. It is stuffed. All right, let me grab a paper towel, wipe my hands off again with it. All right, and I'm going to pull you up so I can see your beautiful smile and talk to you about what we're going to do next. Okay, so what we'll do next is oven at 350 degrees. Unlike what I preach all the time with you guys, I should have done that in the beginning, but I wasn't sure how long initially this was going to take to set up. Like I said, it's the first time I've made it. I didn't think that part through very well. So we'll heat our oven up to 350 degrees. We're going to put this in there for 45 minutes. Any 2-pound meatloaf I've ever made in my life, and I would make a fair amount of meatloafs. It's something quick and easy on a normal night. That's just regular meatloaf. They take 2 pounds of meatloaf plus everything you put in it. Takes about 2 hours. This is no different. We just put the stuff in it differently. But the peppers are already cooked, so we don't have to worry about that. The cheese will melt easily in that time, and the hamburger should be done. But after we get done with that 45 minutes, we're going to pull it out, put some stuff on top of it, and put it back in for another 15. So it takes an hour to cook this. I am now learning that if I didn't make a video and take the time to sit and explain it, you could probably have this meal done in about an hour and a half. I think 15 minutes to cut everything up. If you don't shred your own cheese and you use pre-shredded cheese, easy enough. If you're working with your significant other or one of your kids to make this, easy 15 minutes of prep at most. 5 minutes to saute, because while you're prepping, you can be warming up your skillet to saute your vegetables. Then while they're sauteing and you're done prepping, you saute. While it's sauteing, you do your meat. So I'm going to say 15 to 20 minutes prep time, max. And then an hour total time in your oven. So hour and a half total. I don't know if this would be considered a quick weeknight meal, but it would definitely be doable like on a day off, you know, or if you want to save yourself time, do the prep work the night before or whenever it is you do your prep work. If you pre-prep everything for the week, half this stuff should be done. So that being said, I'm going to get this in the oven. In 45 minutes, we'll pull it out and I'll show you the next step. All right, I'll see you here in a second. All right, so we're back. It's been in the oven for 45 minutes, and as predicted, the end split, and it started to come out a little bit, but not too bad. I'm not sweating it. All right, so we got one more thing to do, put it back in the oven for a few minutes, and then we'll be ready to let it sit so we can eat. All right, so the next thing we want to do, we want to put salsa on the top. Now, if you have a salsa recipe you like that you want to use, awesome. If you don't know how to make salsa or you have no desire to make salsa because it's a weeknight and all you want to do is eat, you can use jar salsa from the store. Not a big deal at all. Not a problem at all. So but I am using, we make our own salsa. I've been making our own salsa now. I've been making salsa now for ever, with a good family recipe. Your basic salsa really has cilantro, tomato, green pepper, onion, jalapeno, or pepper of your choice. If there's a better one you like, have at it. But that's your basic fresh salsa. You put those two together, you chop all that up, put it together with some cilantro. You can use some Mexican oregano in it, whatever spices you like. Chill it, and voila, you have one-day salsa. At least that's the basics of it. All right, so we got the salsa on top. Last thing we got to put on top of that is some cheese. So I got more cheese because, we made a lot of cheese. And we're going to sprinkle some of this on top, and then we're just going to we're going to put it back in the oven and let it go for about, 10-15 more minutes. And we're looking to get the cheese golden brown on the top. And we'll check the temperature of the meatloaf to ensure that it's at 180 degrees. So what we're going to do is, not only am I going to put that meatloaf in there, but I'm going to throw together just some, I had some broken up random Tostito shells. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that cheese and the jalapenos that we have left and some more salsa, and I'm just going to make some quick nachos. So like I said, chips in the bottom of the pan. If you have a whole bag of chips, awesome. You could just simply layer this, do it in layers, but this is all the chips we have, so this is what we're using. I'll also heat up some corn, some jarred corn that we did a while back. But I'll put the cheese on it, and then I'm going to throw some more salsa in there, or on there. To let it hold. There's that. A little more over here on this corner. And then some fresh jalapenos on top of that. And since I got 2 racks in the oven, I'll do the nachos right here on the bottom rack. And I'll put the meatloaf back on the top rack where it's got to go. Give me 1 second. Put that in there. Put this on the bottom rack. Important thing with cast iron, if you use the silicone handle, make sure you take it off when you put it in the oven. If not, you may not have a silicone handle when it comes back. Set the timer for 15 minutes. Timer's on. All right. So we are now in the final steps of the salsa, the meatloaf. We're going to let that cook for about 10-15 minutes. I'll check it at 10 minutes. If the cheese is melted and golden brown, I'll go ahead and pull it out, check the temperature on it. So when I come back, we'll cut a piece and taste it, see how it goes. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 moment. Maybe. All right, guys, another 15 minutes in the oven, and here's how we turned out. Looking, I think, fantastically edible. Tempted at 180, so that way we know it's done. I let it rest for about 10 minutes after I pulled it out of the oven, because that's what you should do with meats. I know I say that all the time, but it's important. You want it to taste good, because what happens is right, when you pull it out of the oven, all the juices and everything are moving around. You want those to settle so it's nice and even, and it's not going anywhere. We've gone this long. Let's we can take it just a hair longer. All right, so we're gonna cut us a piece off, and wow, look at that. All right, okay. Give me 1 second here. We'll bring it up so you can see the inside of it. Got all that nice and ooey gooey cheese and peppers and onions and jalapenos and more cheese in it. And let's bring you back up. Let's see how she tastes. All right. Listening to Motherbarker right now. He's live for his members only stream and showing off some of the cool stuff he's bought. We're gonna start cast iron shopping again here soon, but there we are like that. Now let's see how we taste. Good piece off of there. I know it looks amazing. It's very fajita-like, but it tastes good. I think if I were to do that, I would not only I would probably put the fajita seasoning with the vegetables, and maybe do a taco seasoning with the meat. But all in all, that's not bad. I mean, that's got a nice fajita taste to it. You can taste everything: the garlic, the cheese, the onions, the peppers, the salsa on top. You know, I think we'll be making this again. I did tell Chris before we made it, and I might even have mentioned it to you, but I don't think I did. Excuse me. We're trying it the way the recipe's written this time. This is exactly what Tasty said to do with theirs, other than the fact I made it bigger. Their ingredients. So the next one we make, I am going to make it with taco seasoning. It'll be the exact same way. I'm just going to do it with taco seasoning, and I'm sure I'll let you know next time we make it. I'll probably talk about it on Tuesday when we do our talk. So what we did on top of this was, ooh, that's still hot. We just melted the cheese on our nachos and with the salsa and the jalapenos. And then I'm going to heat some corn up real quick, and we'll call this dinner. Like I said, that was really good. The meat is still real moist and tender. It's got lots of flavor. It's holding together very well, which is awesome in and of itself. So I think I'm going to give this a couple thumbs up, hands down. Definitely try this. I think it's worth a try if you like meatloaf and you like Southwestern style food. This, even though it's called Mexican meatloaf, I would almost call it more of a Tex-Mex, but good all the same. Highly recommend the Mexican meatloaf. So I'm gonna heat up the corn, go have dinner with my family, and enjoy their company for a little while. Catch up on the day, see how things went, and let me know how this goes. All right, let me know if you try it, what you think. Comment down below. Catch me on Facebook. I'll be posting this on Facebook also. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Most importantly, I love you. Tell somebody else you love them. And I'll talk to you later. All right? Bye.